So I'm going to kick things right off. Of course, you've probably noticed we're seeing less of the sunshine. It's getting darker a lot earlier. Eventually, just a couple of days from now, we are going to see some snow, and maybe that's impacting your mood and overall mental health. But there are things you can do to hopefully try and improve that, at least for the time being, as we head through the winter months here in Michigan. So I am joined here in studio by Hannah Pearson. She's a therapist with Wedgwood Christian Services here in our area. Hannah, thanks so much for being here to talk about this topic. It's something we're pretty familiar with here in Michigan just because we have such a long winter season. You know, we just had the time change last weekend. Let's begin just with how impactful, you know, it might seem silly to some folks, but this really can have quite an impact on your mood, you know, your energy during the day and your overall mental health. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, so seasonal mood changes are definitely something that we prep for in the mental health field. A lot of us even actually see an increase in clients looking for services because they've noticed, like you said, they're feeling more tired, they don't have as much energy, maybe they're getting a little bit more irritable and annoyed. And so those are all changes that we can see in our moods as the days get darker, the days get shorter, and it's not as fun to go outside.
Yeah, of course, once the temperatures really drop, thankfully we've kind of held off on that a little bit as of now, but could be changing very quickly. And so like you were saying, you know, if these are things folks are dealing with, you know, it's not silly, it's not, you know, something out of the norm. It is quite common for people to be seeing these changes right now, you would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of us are going to see a very natural dip in our moods, right? So for some of us, we're able to handle that really easily. Maybe all we need is a little extra pump up music in the morning. But for some of us, we can start to see those problems really impact our ability to do well at work, to engage well with our friends. And that would be a time where we'd start to say, hey, are there some changes I need to make to my schedule and my routines to cope better with my mood changes?
Yeah, we don't want people to just suffer through the winter months. It's a big part of our year here in the state of Michigan. And so one of the things that folks can be doing is maximizing their exposure and exploration of natural light. Tell us a little bit about that and what can be done there.
Yeah, so it's as simple as sunlight boosts our serotonin in our brain. And so that's one of the happy chemicals that makes me feel awake and alive. So whether it's as simple as maybe just standing in that bright patch of sun with your cat or your dog and doing a little bit of sunbathing, there's lots of sun lamps that you can get if you happen to work in an office with no windows. But even just a couple minutes of natural sunlight exposure can really, really boost your mood.
Yeah, I even feel sometimes on those days when we do have a really bright and sunny day, it can feel, you know, even more just kind of energizing, you know, than during the summertime when it's sunny every day to just kind of soak up that warmth and the brightness. I love that. Something else that's really important is your sleep. I mean, this is important all year round. But tell us how that kind of impacts some of these fluctuations people could be dealing with.
Yeah, so sleep is something that we talk a lot about as mental health therapists, but especially in the winter. So it's getting dark earlier, it's getting dark at like 6 o'clock, right? But bedtime isn't until 10. So when my sleep schedule gets messed up, that's also going to be something that really impacts my energy, my ability to feel awake in the morning. So when we keep a consistent sleep schedule, waking up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, even if the sun is not following us, that's something that can help our natural circadian rhythms stay structured so that we can get through our day a little bit easier.
Yeah, so just because sun times are changing doesn't mean we want to change the routine that we know works for us really well.
Yeah.
Another thing folks can be thinking about is sticking with the exercise. I know it can be a little bit harder when it's colder out to get to the gym, you know, to take a walk at some point, especially when it gets really snowy around here.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the push to do that can be so beneficial right now.
Yeah, so something we encourage, especially that I encourage in my work, is being proactive. So thinking ahead of if I'm a runner and I usually run outside and I can't do that in the winter, maybe I start thinking about getting a seasonal gym membership just for the winter. Maybe I transition from doing a lot of cardio outdoors to doing maybe some gentler yoga or Pilates in my living room. But just thinking ahead, how can I adapt my exercise to the indoors so that I'm still moving my body, I'm still giving my body that energy and getting the exercise I need to feel good.
Yeah, and just getting, you know, even if it's a little different or maybe a different place, you know, just getting the body moving, getting a little sweat in, whatever that looks like for you, can really be so, I know for me personally, so beneficial for my mental health to just get moving in some way, you know, again, even if it's different than what you're doing during the summer. A couple more for folks. cultivating anticipation. Let's walk through that because people might not quite grasp what we're talking about there, but it's almost like building up your excitement a little bit for things.
Yeah, it's cultivating anticipation is basically giving yourself something to look forward to. So we're heading into the holidays. Some people really look forward to those, and for some of us, that is another reason why our mood is dropping, right? But it's finding maybe even just the little things. Maybe it's dinner with a friend. Maybe it's a special coffee to reward yourself for getting through another week. But when we find those things to look forward to, it helps us boost our hope and our excitement a little bit to give us that motivation to get through maybe some of the darker and drearier days that aren't as fun.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I do that all year round, especially with kind of times of mood changes or times that are more difficult, but especially when maybe you're seeing an even deeper drop, things like that, to just keep you moving, keep you feeling motivated.
Absolutely.
And finally, embracing the indoors. We spend so much more time indoors, especially for those of us who are super outdoorsy during the warmer months. Walk us through what that could mean for people to keep that boost of energy around.
Yeah, so for I think a lot of us, we see the weather gets colder, it starts to snow, and we're like, oh, it's time to put on my favorite pajamas and just veg out, binge a bunch of TV shows. And while that can be great, what I'm kind of suggesting here is doing activities that keep our brains stimulated. So puzzles, board games, reading a book, doing something that rather than just mindlessly consuming media and kind of zoning out, I'm keeping my brain engaged and active. I'm tapping into creativity, I'm tapping into inspiration, which are all things that just naturally help my mood increase and help me feel energized and productive.
Yeah, I think these are all such great things to think about. I know I was definitely thinking about, spending time in the sun when you can and working out, but just a bunch of great ideas for folks to just keep themselves in a good place, as we head into kind of the drearier months here in our neck of the woods. And something I wanted to highlight too, folks are trying these things out. Maybe they're helpful, but they're feeling like they could use some more help. Maybe they'd like to consider, talking with someone on the professional level. How should someone gauge, okay, it's time for me to, kind of step it up and talk with someone like yourself about what I'm dealing with?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think that's the question we're all asking ourselves is this normal or is this something where I need a little bit more help? And so in general, kind of the rule of thumb is if it's not going away, right? I'm trying to stand in the sunlight, I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm maintaining good connections, I'm trying to stay busy, and I just can't shake off that funk. I'm feeling like I'm getting more nervous, like I just really don't want to get out of bed. Those are kind of the signs where we are starting to say, maybe it's time to talk to someone, see if there's maybe a little bit of something else going on. And whether that's giving us a call at Wedgwood where we can get you in pretty fast, or even just hopping on Psychology Today to look at local therapists in the area. Those are all really great tools to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for some people that, that can be a bit of a daunting process.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are passionate as I am about kind of breaking that stigma of seeking mental health and help when it's needed. What's your motivation, to taking that step? Because ultimately you're really just working to improve yourself, the life for those around you, all of those things that can be so beneficial, but maybe a little nerve-wracking for people at first.
Yeah, so this is one of the reasons why the question that I lead with when I see a new client in my room is not, what's wrong with you? Why are you here? But it's, hey, what led you to seek counseling? And so we're going to lead with some curiosity. We're going to ask what's been happening rather than what's wrong. So we're not looking at you like a problem or a puzzle to be fixed. We're just embracing you as a person who said, hey, I feel a little funky and I kind of don't want to feel that way anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also know that looking for a therapist can take a while. Sometimes your first therapist isn't the best fit, and I recognize that also adds a little bit of stress to the search. But we are here to help, and we do want to meet you where you're at. And that includes helping you find someone who is a good fit for you.
Yeah, you're building, a relationship of a different kind with that person, and maybe the first, person you're with isn't exactly what's going to be most helpful, but it doesn't mean that there's not someone else that would be a better match for you in getting to where you want to be.
Exactly.
And if folks would like to reach out to Wedgwood, how should they do so, to seek the help that you and others offer there?
Yeah, so if you look at our website, we've got the number for our counseling center right there. You give them a call, and the friendly ladies at our front desk would love to walk you through the therapists that are available, help you get set up with a time, and also help you potentially get connected to a different resource if we're not what you're looking for.
Awesome. Hannah, thank you so much for coming to talk about this. I hope folks are able to take away just at least a couple of these tips as we head into these cloudier months to just keep their moods and spirits a little bit brighter. So we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.